What's up, guys? Welcome to Operation B, the podcast. I am your host, Jamie Thurber, and I am here to take you on a journey of deepening, of expansion, of understanding more about who you are and why you're here and how to operate in an optimal way that allows you to do what you want to do, feel how you want to feel, take care of yourself truly, and support everything that your heart desires. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Operation B. This is your host, Jamie Thurber, and I am so grateful that you're here with me. I hope wherever you are, you're having a beautiful day. I am very snowed in right now, and I'm very happy about it. Snow is my favorite. And I will say that I am privileged to be able to say that because I don't have to leave if I don't want to. We keep quite the stock of things in our home because we live far away from everything. So you kind of need an inventory when you live far away from stuff because you don't have, like a Walgreens 2 seconds away or, grocery stores that are open 24 hours. Like our closest store, the Double D Market, which we're obsessed with in Defiance, which is funny. I'm wearing my little Defiance sweatshirt that I made a couple years ago. If you're watching the video, Defiance, Missouri. Anyway, they're on my website. I think they're cute. I don't know if anyone's ever bought one, but I did for myself. Anyway, our Double D Market, which we're obsessed with, but they close at 8, I think 8 or 9. So anyway, snowed in, super happy. Tony's a little antsy, but it's okay. And I wanted to talk to you today about one of my favorite topics. And I think it's one of my favorite topics because of the way that I learned about it. So I'm going to tell you a little story, which you guys know is what I always do. I have no idea when this was. I'd say maybe 2015. I could look it up, but whatever. It doesn't really matter. Back in the day, so I live near St. Louis, Missouri. And if you don't know, First Form's headquarters is here. So we're lucky we actually get to buy First Form products from stores, which I know is also a privilege. We don't have to pay shipping. Anyway, so First Form hosted the launch party for Gary Vaynerchuk's book. Which one was it? The GaryVee show? I don't remember which one it was. It's on my list somewhere. Yeah, Ask GaryVee. That's the one. Ask GaryVee book. It was the first book that he self-published, and I really followed him very closely at the time, and I still do. Like, he's a freaking social media god. He just understands business and how to be a good human so well that I hold him to a high regard. Anyway, so he did his launch party for the book tour here in St. Louis at First Form headquarters. Andy Frisella spoke, opened up for him, and then Gary spoke, and it was actually pretty freaking great. And super close to home. So of course I went, and it was a great event. I met a lot of cool people and people I've been friends with ever since, and just lots of cool things. But something that Gary said at that speech changed my fucking life. It just did. It changed my life in a lot of ways. So at the time, so like I said, I think it was like 2015, maybe. So I had been full-time entrepreneur, Jamie, for not very long, still sorting it out, still figuring out how to help people virtually online and, all the work you have to do. Here's the other thing. Like when you own your own company, especially a virtual company, there's a lot of self-growth work you really need to do in order for it to function and you not to just completely deteriorate, basically. So I was on that journey, building the business and branding, and also deep into some of the beginning parts of my own personal growth journey. And Gary was speaking, and he said he often is asked, what would be the one thing you could give to someone if you had the opportunity to give something to every person that you meet? What would it be? And he said self-awareness. And I remember this so vividly because I was like, again, like, what is he saying? Like hanging on his every word, And then he said if he could give one thing to every human that he met. And now Gary is very, very passionate about helping people. So that statement meant a lot to me. He said self-awareness. And at the time, I had no idea what that meant. Not a fucking clue. So I remember, I could probably find the notebook somewhere, writing in the notebook self-awareness question mark and circling it because I knew that later I needed to dive deeper into what the hell that meant. So that meant, me looking up the definition, but then also watching a bunch of video content. Mainly, a lot of it was his, but really, and then I went on this journey of finding my own self awareness. Like, if this was a gift someone could give to me, how could I, why don't I have it? And then I realized, and he did touch on this, no one can give it to you. Self awareness is a lifelong journey. It's something that you have to desire, but you have to build and excavate and search for on your own. It's something that you have to create for yourself. So I remember thinking, okay, well, let's plant that somewhere in our brain and put it into our like repertoire, right, of how we're operating. And it fit really well into my mindset work that I was, just diving into at the time, because you have to be really aware of your own bullshit to be successful, as like a solo entrepreneur, especially because if you're sitting here trying to bullshit yourself, like, it's just not going to work. And so I'm going to read to you the definition of self-awareness, and then we're going to dive a little deeper into why I find it to be just equally as important as he does, and how possibly you can build it for yourself, find it for yourself. And I'm going to share a little anecdote of a moment that I had recently, which was a fucking game changer. And I wouldn't have been able to have that without watering this garden of self-awareness for as long as I have. So, self-awareness is defined as conscious knowledge of one's own character, feelings, motives, and desires. And that's clear, honest knowledge. It's not bullshit, okay? I find that one of the most powerful parts of that is conscious knowledge of one's own motives. Because if you can figure out why you do the things you do, it unlocks quite a little Pandora's box of information that you can run with, that you can use to really tweak your life, your health, your mindset, your relationships, the way you interact with people, the way you move through your day. It is just like a fountain of information. If you can unlock the motives, that's like, whew, boy, it's the magic sauce right there. Because when you can understand why you do what you do, like a lot of the things we talk about here on Operation Do, I've been working on, or Operation B, sorry, shoosh, after what, 8 years of saying Operation Do, there's occasionally going to be the flip flop of the words. So sorry, don't mind me. Operation B. The whole premise is talking about how all of this fits into our well-being as humans, which to me encompasses everything that we encounter. It's not just about our physical or mental health, it's about all of it, right? Because all of those things contribute to our physical and mental health. Let's be real. Everybody wants to separate it all and say, oh, this is this. No, baloney. Baloney. That's not the way it is. So when we can look at what's motivating us to do something or not to do something, we can unlock a lot. And what's normally attached to that are things like, so when you say own character, that's where you would think of your values. Like, what are things that you value over anything else? Now, if you've ever done a Tony Robbins event, he really, really helps with this because he really dives into what are your core values, at least during Date with Destiny, he does. I can read them to you off the wall. I literally have my Date with Destiny poster on the wall, and I have for 3 years because it is still impactful, even though as I've evolved and changed, to become very clear of what your values are really impacts. I mean, that's what makes up your character. And for me, it's integrity. It's being someone people can count on, to my own demise to an extent, which again, we've discussed a lot here. We will continue to. Those things are part of my character. And it's part of what makes me who I am. And we're all drastically different, obviously. So if you're not sure of exactly what your values are, what make up your character, you should do a little investigating for yourself because it's important. Because when you allow that to be like besties with your motives, oh boy, again, that's how you build a life that you don't hate and that you don't need a vacation from. That's how you build things that you actually want to keep and sustain is by recognizing where, and then if you can meld your character, which would be like your values, your real true feelings and like feelings like how you feel about things, how you hate, love, scared, obsessed, all the things, feelings with your motives. So character, feelings, motives, and desires. Like what do you actually want? What do you actually want? Oftentimes we overcomplicate what we want. And if you're listening, I'm doing air quotes because we are basing it on other things. We're not slowing down enough to decide what our desires are based on what we truly, truly desire. We, as this individual, specific person, what do you want? It doesn't have to look like what anybody else has. And I used to think I didn't think my my motives or my desires, looked like what anybody else had. And now I realize that it was still so impacted by society and by what other people said I should be and have that it still wasn't fully mine. And I feel like I'm really in a good place now where like my desires, first of all, you can change your desires anytime you want to. Magic, right? Wow. You didn't just because you put it on a freaking mood board or whatever doesn't mean that that's the only desire you can ever have and that's yours forever. You can change your mind anytime you want to about it. I remember this hit me for one of the first times my doctor asked me, what do you do for fun? And I was like, oh, I like to go, I don't know, I like to hang out with my family. I like to go fishing. I like to go four-wheeling in my Jeep. And I named a couple other things. And he was like, when was the last time you were fishing? And at the time, I'm like, oh, shoot, over 5 years ago. He's like, when was the last time you went four-wheeling in your Jeep? And I was like, pretty long. And that's what made me realize I still said those things and I still believed them. Now, do I enjoy them? Absolutely. I sure do. But like, do I do them for fun right now? No, I don't. That's not currently what's happening. I wish I had more time for them. I wish I had more energy for them, blah, 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 blah. Right. But it was just like a moment again where you have to realize that like we as human beings, the human experience bobs and weaves all day long. It's an ebb and flow constantly. And if you can't let go enough to ebb and flow, then let me tell you, friend, I've been there and it's going to leave you in a place of constant stress and not being satisfied because you got to learn to have a little flexibility to bob and weave with life because it's life. It's never not going to be life. It's just never not going to be. That's the way it is. So we all have highs and lows and bumps in the road and all the things. Okay. Anyway, back to self-awareness. These are all self-awareness keys, by the way. One of the things that happened to me recently that was like, wow, what a beautiful moment. As I've talked to you in these last several episodes, I've talked to you about some of the ugly realities I've had to accept. And I think a lot of people who have chronic illnesses or chronic pain, or both, like me, we're so special. Just kidding. It's a club I really hope that you're not a part of. But if you are, I get you. I see you. Anyway, one of the things we have to remember is that there are a lot of not super pleasant there's a lot of not super pleasant truths that we have to come face to face with and just accept and acknowledge. Doesn't mean we have to accept that as our reality forever, but we do have to acknowledge that they exist. So just unpretty, unexciting truths that we just have to accept as we're on our journey of healing, as we're on our journey of sorting out and truly healing, like truly healing the root of things. This isn't a, band-aid freaking process, like especially when you're trying to make your life something that's easier to live and navigate health-wise. It's just more possible, I guess I should say, when you allow yourself to acknowledge the in-between things that maybe aren't so fun. And it's just part of the journey. It's again choosing your heart, part of the process that you just have to accept. So in that, I had to have an interesting realization moment with myself. So I think I'd mentioned before, maybe in an episode, but I was really excited because data is a big part of healing a chronic illness, is collecting data. I use a couple apps. Um, Bearable is one of them. If you're looking to track symptoms and food and like how everything plays a part, which is really what I think is the key to creating health if you do have chronic symptoms, is it's a really beautiful app, very customizable. I did pay for it. I don't remember how much, but it's bearable like a bear, like a teddy bear, ABLE. So we'll link it below. Um, it is the best I found. I like it because uh, it shows you what's the word I'm looking for? Stats. It shows you all the things that you may need to like acknowledge, because when you're diving and you're getting that deep as to figure out why your body's acting the way it's acting, you kind of have to start to figure, you don't kind of, you do have to figure out what factors are playing a part and a role in how you're behaving. Or I'm sorry, and like what's happening, what's the end result, basically. So a lot of symptoms can be worsened or lessened by different behavioral things, whether eating, weather, activity, sleep, all that shit. So it lets you track it all. Love data, big key to me going through this healing process. It's also a big key to me in my emotional healing process as well, in relationships and everything. Data, I love data. So when I found out about the Oura Ring, I was really excited. If you haven't noticed, I've not been wearing it lately. I stopped wearing it a little over a month ago, or about a month ago. And there's a really beautiful reason why. First of all, side note, I think the Oura Ring is a beautifully amazing tool. I'm not getting rid of it. I can't wait until the day comes that it makes sense for me to wear again. But let me explain why I'm not wearing it anymore. And this is a really big key to self awareness. So, the world has told me that the Oura Ring is the best of the best of the best. It gives me all of the data that I need, gives me everything that I could possibly desire to be able to, and then you could share the data with your doctors and your this and your that. And so I started wearing it, and I was really pleased to like really find and see the ebbs and flows of like your body temperature according to your cycle, and your sleep patterns and how much you're awake at night. Shoot, that was like a kick in the nuts, because I was like, wow, I wake up way more than I realized. Or like your sleep efficiency being not great. Um, Things like that. Heart rate, step count, blah, blah, blah. I was really excited about the ring. And like I said, I still think it's a great product. So this is not a dig on the product. Please know that. What this is instead is a really beautiful and vulnerable piece of self awareness. Because here's what happened. I thought I got really good sleep before, because we have this bed 8. It's called 8 Sleep. It's a bed mattress cover that monitors your temperature throughout the night, and it actually works to keep your body temperature what it needs to be in order for you to get the best sleep. And it does give you data, but obviously it's not as accurate as the ring that's on your finger while you're sleeping. So the data from the ring versus the bed was quite different. Um, like the bed would tell me I was getting on average 2.5 more hours of sleep than the ring was telling me. So that wasn't fun information, because one thing I do know about my health is that when I don't have good sleep, my symptoms are way worse. So that's just historically been what's happened. So what I started recognizing was me thinking that I didn't have, or me hearing or seeing or whatever, that I didn't have good sleep was not affecting my mind very well. And there have been a lot of studies that show that it comes more with knowledge. Like if you woke up in the morning and you felt like you had a good sleep, like who gives a fuck what your ring said? Like it doesn't matter if it says you didn't have a good sleep. If you feel good throughout the day, then there's that, right? But there's been studies that shown when they tell people that they had a bad night's sleep, people have a worse day. And then they'll even lie to them in those cases. And then people who got a great night's sleep, they tell them they had a bad night's sleep and they have a bad day, and vice versa, right? So I know that that's true, because our mind is so strong. It can change everything, convince us of anything, to be honest. The other part that hit me was my heart rate. So I was very excited because the month of December, I decided to take off of all my detoxing. That means I'm still taking quite a bit of supplements, but no detox. So meaning I'm not actively killing off anything in my system, which is really difficult on my system. Now think about it. You're killing off, I have a whole laundry list of things that we've been killing off, and you have to do them in sections basically. And your body feels crummy when you're doing that. You're killing stuff. Like, of course it does. And then it has to flush it out. So there's this whole process with a binder, and it's, it is what it is. So I'm like, I'm going to take December off of protocol, of a detox protocol. I'm so excited. Maybe I'll feel great. Well, my heart rate went whoop at the end of October, and it stayed up all of November. My stress levels felt lower. Like, I don't know what, I was very concerned. And then Tony was really concerned. So he had me schedule a doctor's appointment. I'm going through all these heart tests, whatever. We don't know what's going on. I think that it was my body's reaction to me starting to work a little bit more. And it was just bracing itself for the way I used to work and saying, oh, well, if she's going to work more, then we better get ready for her to ignore us. And that's what I think was going on, because our bodies are really smart and trauma is a really real thing in our systems. We'll see. Anyway, the ring, I realized that I had been to the doctor. They did an EKG. I got a heart monitor that I wore for 3 days that like attached to my chest. Um, that's the accurate information the doctor needed. So I had this moment where I was like, I don't really feel good about anything I'm doing right now. And that's not cool because I'm doing a lot of great fucking things. And like, what is the deal? So self-awareness, I spent this time diving down and kind of dialing down what I think may be impacting that feeling. And I decided, you know what, let's give myself a little time without the ring and see what happens. And yeah, I mean, you can feel your own heartbeat sometimes, right? Like I can tell when my heart rate would go up, it, but it didn't feel as drastic. Didn't feel as dire. I felt fine. Like my sleep thing didn't feel as dire. I felt like I didn't feel like shit about myself. Like basically, it wasn't that I felt more physically ill. It was that I felt like shit about myself. And I also noticed that while I was wearing the ring, I was not as diligent about writing the data down in my app, my Bearable app, which isn't good because the Bearable app literally tracks everything. The ring doesn't have that option to track symptoms and things, right? So I told myself, wow, what a beautiful gift I gave myself buying this expensive ass Oura Ring for myself. When I say, I mean, it's not cheap. It's like $250 or something like that. And I already paid for a year's subscription on the app. So whatever, it is what it is. But I knew that the best decision for myself was to stop wearing the ring for a while. And here's why. In the current state of my physical health, I can't do a lot of physical activity, very low impact at minimum. Like I can take small walks, which is something I couldn't do before. I can do some small yoga. I do stretching. I do my spinal exercises for my doctor. Anyway, but it's a minimal impact on my heart rate, on cardiovascular. There's no cardiovascular happening around here right now because it negatively impacts my system. And while I'm healing, it just is not something I can do. And so the HRV, which is your heart rate variability numbers and your resting heart rate and your number of steps and cardio and calories burned, all the stuff that the Oura Ring is great at giving you data on, I can't do anything about right now. That's just a harsh fact. Is that great? Am I excited about it? No. Is that where we're at? Yes, 100%. So I realized that this is a beautiful tool and it'll be there for me when I'm able to utilize it as an optimization tool, which is really what it's for, to make my life better, make my health better. Right now, where I'm at in my health journey, it's not the tool I need. And that's okay. But I feel like we live in this world where I bought this ring. It's expensive. It's so good. I'm doing air quotes again. The best thing I could do for myself. So I can't stop wearing it, even though it's making me feel like I'm a fucking mess up and I can't blah, 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 like all these negative things. It's just true. Like, and I remember at one point feeling like saying that to you or to anyone felt very dramatic. It made me feel like a drama queen. It made me feel like a baby, like a big whiny baby. When none of that is true, this is just the fact that no one wants to talk about because of all the things I just said. Like, call me what you want. That's the truth. And if you want to be worried about what other people have to think about you, so you keep wearing the fucking ring that you paid $250 for, even though it's making you feel like shit, that's dumb. who cares? And this is the world. I'm saying this to you because I used to live in that way, that headspace. If I paid for something, I'm going to use it. This is the rule, I'm going to follow it 100%, blah, 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 even at my own detriment. Where I think a lot of us do, and self-awareness is the freaking key. Self-awareness and the ability to honor what our body is asking for and what we know we actually need, not what standard says that we should be doing. That's the key. That's the difference. And I felt like that was a really powerful moment and a really powerful realization to share because of all the backstory reasons why I made that choice. That's the stuff that I thought you needed to hear about. That's the stuff that I hope impacts you in a positive way, because I'm not giving up. I'm not saying, wow, I'm going to be lazy and do none of the things because I can't wear this ring. No, I can't do anything about the data on the ring right now. Will I be able to? Yes. Am I 100% sure that I will be able to utilize that ring to optimize my health at some point? Yes. I hope it's sooner rather than later. But until then, the ring was not the positive thing for me. Now, I know a lot of women use it for fertility tracking instead of like the rhythm method, because it's easier than doing like taking your temperature every morning. I don't have that. I don't need birth control. So I don't need it for that purpose. So I just wanted to mention that, because I do want to say that if you're using it for that purpose and you're having any of these negative things that I've described here, you may want to look at something else. There are apps that you can use that have thermometers, if that's your methodology. But anyway, again, I just wanted to kind of give you a permission slip for if you've incorporated something that you thought was going to be really beneficial to you, and you like went gung-ho and you talked about it a ton and you felt really great about it, and it turned out to not be the right thing for you, or just not the right thing for right now, I want to give you the permission slip to put it down for right now and know that that's you honoring you, and it doesn't matter what anyone else has to say or think about it. So, self-awareness, friends, study it, find it, look for it in every place, every decision, every move you make, and every interaction that you think back at. Self-awareness, character, feelings, motives, and desires. Yours and yours alone. It's a beautiful gift that you can give to yourself. And I hope that you do, because it's been a life changer for me. So thank you, GaryVee, for that. I doubt he'll ever listen to this, but there it is. So anyways, as always, friends, thank you so much for being here with me. I hope that wherever you are, you're having a beautiful day. And if you liked this episode, please share it with someone that you think could benefit from it, and let us know what you think. See ya. Thank you for listening to Operation B, the podcast. To support this message and to support the show, please make sure that you like, follow, and share the podcast wherever you enjoy listening. And be sure to leave us a review on iTunes. Thank you for being here, and see you next time.